firecrackers, Papa?
My father, he will get me some when he's finished out of the barber shop.
You may have a long wait the way that barber's cutting hair in there.
Barber, tell me something. You and Jenny Holcomb went steady for 5 years.
That's right.
Now, how come all of a sudden you decided you didn't want to be friends no more?
What the devil are you talking about, Sam?
You hear that, Rodriguez? He wants to know what the devil I'm talking
Well, what
about.
are you talking about? Everybody knows Jenny and me's getting married next week.
That's exactly what I am talking about. My wife and me, we got along real amiable like until we got married. And then, my, oh my. I tell you, Barbie, you just ain't got good sense. Now, you laugh while you can. Because after next week, your laughing days is over, boy.
I've seen an awful lot of laughing, but not much cutting. Frank, how can you take so much time cutting so little hair?
Now, don't you worry, little Joe. Your day's coming a little later.
With this hair, are you kidding?
Yes, I am.
Hey, you kids!
Hey, Paco. Good luck, got some firecrackers. That ought to hold your pockets out.
Thank you, Joe.
Right.
After you, man. She's a real pretty gal, ain't she, Duke? Guess that don't do Duke no good. She didn't even give him a thumbprint. Wait a minute, honey. I want to talk to you. What are you afraid of? All I want to do is talk to you and get acquainted.
Just leave me alone.
Come on. I'll buy a haircut.
Thanks, Frank.
Oh, you're coming to the wedding, ain't you, Sheriff?
Yeah, if this old goat here don't talk you out of getting married.
Not a chance.
Joe?
Hey, you're not gonna let him charge you full price for that, are you, Roy?
Will you stop?
Get out of here. Get out of here. Hey, come on, don't cut too much off, will you, Frank?
Now, you ain't gonna tell me how to cut your hair, are you, little Joe?
I just want to make sure my hat still fits, you know? Be a little wait, boys. 2 ahead of you.
We got lots of time.
Just find yourself a chair someplace there. Hey, don't get carried away with the scissors, Frank.
You in that
Just
chair.
hold your head, will you?
Would you mind letting me take your place?
You gotta be kidding. I waited for 2 hours to get in this chair.
If you're willing to wait that long, you ought to be willing to wait a little while longer.
Like I told you, there's 2 ahead of you.
Yeah, I know, but I'm in a hurry. How about it?
Well, you're gonna wait your turn just like everybody else. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, but I'm not like anybody else.
That's good.
This makes the difference.
Better get out of that chair, mister. No sense getting killed over a little thing like a haircut.
Duke here is touchy about the way he looks. You don't get out of that chair, you'll never have need of a haircut. Here, listen to him, mister. Like I told you, he's touchy.
I've seen too many mean local killers in my life not to recognize one when I see him.
You shut up, old man.
Better get out of that chair, little Joe, before he kills you.
Now, you are are getting out of that little chair, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. But I'm gonna remember you, mister.
Why don't you sit over here, mister?
Hey, Carlos.
I'll need a shave.
I would also like a shave. Por favor.
What do you think you're doing?
Carlos, get out of the chair. No, Joe. I know what he wants. But it is not right. If you want to shave, you will have to wait until after I get mine.
Somebody tell him to get out of that chair before I kill him.
Come on, Carlos. This is no time to be a hero. Get out of the chair. No, Joe. It's all right. He will wait. No man would kill for such a foolish reason. Por favor, barber. Get busy with that lather. Carlos, don't be a fool.
Barber? Barber! I'm mighty particular about my hair. I don't want you to take too much off the top. Trim it nice and neat in the back. And keep the sideburns long.
No sign of them?
Not a thing.
Joe, why don't you come inside? Have some supper with Paco and me.
Paco's in there?
He has no relatives this side of Mexico. Roy Coffey wrote to his grandparents until he is back. I told him I'd take care of the boy.
Well, how's he feeling?
How do you think he feels?
Poor kid, every time I think about what happened in there,
Joe. Nothing you could do. Wasn't your fault. You're not responsible for Mr. Rodriguez's death.
I know it wasn't my fault, Pa, but I just wish there was something I could have done.
What could you have done? Sam Snedden and Barbara told me what happened and how. Joe, sometimes situations arise, and there's nothing you can do about them.
Yeah, well, there's something I can do about it now. I can find Miller. I'll settle it for Schwartz.
Well, we caught a couple of them. Frank Walden's barn. Roy's got him in jail in Virginia City.
Did you get the one that did the killing?
Well, we don't know. According to them, they didn't have anything to do with it.
Had to go to town, pal.
Be careful now.
Right.
Howdy, Joe. Tell me if one of these fellas is the killer, will you?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. Get out better, nigga. Let go. Let go. It's the one. Joe. It's the one. The one.
Marco, how you feeling?
Joe? About my father. I know there's nothing you could have done.
Thanks, Paco.
Howdy, Ben.
Roy?
Joe? Hey, Paco, got a letter for you.
Oh, you heard from his grandparents then?
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you're able to get in touch with them.
And so was I.
Well, Kyle all set?
Yeah, but it's been changed over to Carson City.
How come?
Well, Duke Miller's lawyer claimed that he couldn't get an unbiased jury in Virginia City, so he pulled some legal strings and had the whole trial transferred over to Carson. Hey, Paco, letter from your grandpa just a minute before noon.
Thank you, Senor Sheriff.
Must have got himself a pretty smart lawyer, huh?
They just don't come no smarter. Wilson Reed's defended. And Ben. Now, both Barbara and Sam are eyewitnesses to this murder. And their testimony should convict Miller. But I just don't want to take any chance on having any trouble at the trial. So you get Joe to stay away from the trial.
Now, Roy, Joe isn't going to start any trouble in a court of law.
Roy, I'm going to that trial whether you like it or not.
Senor Cartwright?
Yes, Paco.
My grandfather, he wants me to go to Juarez, to live with him and Grandma.
Well, that's good news, Paco. You'll be real happy living with your grandparents, won't you? We'll make arrangements to get you there as soon as possible.
Senor Cartwright, I will stay here until they hang the men who killed my father.
that time. Let's go in.
Thank you, Deputy. Well, boys, this is your big day. How do you feel?
Have felt better, Mr. Reed. Have they caught Odie yet?
No. It's a good thing for you that they haven't. Otherwise, you'd hang.
You think he can get us off?
There's a possibility. If there weren't, I wouldn't be defending you. Let's go.
Oh, Mr. Reed, I ain't had a haircut in a long time, and I thought maybe, I hate to go into court looking so shabby. So if it's possible, I'd like to get a barber in here to sort of clean me up.
Well, there's only one way that you'd ever get a barber in here. That's if the jury convicted you. They always grant a last request to a condemned man, and that would be your last request, wouldn't it, you? Come on, boys. It's not smart to keep a judge waiting.
And then when Mr. Rodriguez refused to get out of the chair, Duke Miller shot him. Shot him and killed him. And then while Rodriguez was lying dead on the floor, Duke Miller got into the chair and then very calmly made Frank finish cutting his hair.
You have heard the barber, Mr. Snedden, and now Mr. Cartwright tell how Carlos Rodriguez met his death. Never have I heard of such a cold-blooded killing. And never have I been able to offer such overwhelming evidence against a murderer.
Your Honor, it isn't up to Mr. Albright to decide whether Duke Miller is a murderer. That's up to the jury. Until a decision is reached, I insist that Mr. Albright refrain from referring to Mr. Miller or one of the defendants as a murderer.
You see that you do that, Mr. Albright.
I'm sorry, Judge. Your witness.
Mr. Cartwright, I understand that you were unconscious at the time of the killing. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct, but I came to immediately and...
That's all. No more questions.
He had the gun in his hand.
Your Honor?
That's all, son. You can step down.
Miller maintains that he never stepped foot inside that barber shop. But you have heard 3 men swear that Miller did come into that barber shop and that he murdered Carlos Rodriguez in cold blood right before their eyes. Gentlemen, there is no need for me to say more. If ever a man was guilty of murder and deserved to be hung, that man is Duke Miller. Now, I know you're going to find him guilty, and I know that he is going to hang. The state rests, Your Honor.
All right. Well, Mr. Reed?
Thank you, Your Honor. Gentlemen, you have heard the 2 defendants state that Joseph Cartwright tried to strangle Duke Miller in his cell in Virginia City. Now, I don't know why Joseph Cartwright wanted to kill Mr. Miller, but I do know that he hates him. So do you. Therefore, I want you to completely disregard his testimony, because the testimony of a man full of hate is very unreliable.
I object, Your Honor.
I'll sustain that. And Mr. Reed, I will instruct the jury what to disregard.
I'm sorry. Your Honor, I would like for the barber and Mr. Snedden to come up here and take another look at Mr. Brennan and Mr. Miller.
Objection, Your Honor.
Just a minute. Now, they've had plenty of time to see them, Mr. Reed. This isn't necessary for them to come back up here and...
Your Honor, I insist that they come up here and positively identify the defendants as two of the men who were in that barber shop, and I will prove them wrong. Now, there is no doubt that someone killed Carlos Rodriguez. But there is grave doubt, and I am certain that it was not Duke Miller.
All right, Mr. Snedden, Mr. Thomas, come on up. Come on, come on. Come on, right up here.
Now, gentlemen, if you'll stand right here in front of the defendants, and don't take your eyes off them.
Mr. Reed, you're sure now that you're not taking up this court's time for nothing?
Please bear with me, Your Honor.
All right.
Now, Mr. Brennan and Mr. Miller admit that they rode through Virginia City the day of the murder. They swore they did not go into the barber shop. They swore that they were not in the company of a third man. Now, maybe three men did enter that barber shop. I don't know. But Cal Brennan was not one of them, nor was Duke Miller. Mr. Snedden, why do you wear glasses?
What do you think I wear 'em for?
Because you have very poor eyesight.
Well, I got good enough eyesight to know that these were the two that came into the barber shop that day. And that's the one that killed Carlos Rodriguez. And you can't disprove that. You bet you can't. We know who we saw.
Then you still insist. You are still positive that those are the two men that went into the barber shop?
Yes.
And could you identify the third man you claim went into the barber shop if you ever saw him again?
I'm sure I could.
So could I.
Now, gentlemen, the prosecutor bases his entire case on an old man who has very poor eyesight and a barber who admits that he was terrified at the time the crime was committed. Now, I don't think that's sufficient evidence to hang a man. But I can see from the looks of your faces that you do. You still believe these witnesses. All right. I want you to go on believing them. I mean that. I want you to believe them. Because I'm going to base my entire defense on the fact that you do believe them, even though I know and am certain of a fact that they are mistaken. Floyd! Mr. Snedden, do you recognize that man?
That's the one. That's the other one that came into the barber shop with them.
That's him, all right.
And you both positively identify him as the man who came into the barber shop on February the 2nd with Calvin Brennan and Duke Miller?
I'm positive he's the one.
There ain't no doubt about it.
That's all, gentlemen. You may go back to your seats. Your Honor, the man the two witnesses just identified is Floyd Brennan, Calvin Brennan's brother. Take off his hat. Calvin isn't very proud of his brother Floyd because he's a criminal. As soon as he is through here, the two deputies will escort him back to his jail cell in Kingman, where he's been incarcerated for more than a year.
No, I object, Your Honor. What kind of a trial?
All right. Quiet, please. All right, Mr. Reed, go ahead.
Thank you. Gentlemen, they said they were positive. Positive that this man was in the barber shop. But on that fatal day, Floyd Brennan was locked up in jail more than 500 miles away from Virginia City. So how in God's name can you believe anything those witnesses have said? You can't, gentlemen. You can't. Floyd Brennan was not in that barber shop. Cal Brennan was not in that barber shop. Duke Miller was not in that barber shop. So, gentlemen, you can't. You can't possibly bring in a verdict of guilty unless you are willing to make a mockery of the word justice.
Quiet. Quiet, please. You gentlemen reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
The defendants, please stand up. How do you find?
We find both the defendants not guilty.
Not guilty, Your Honor. How much proof do you need? There were 3 eyewitnesses that saw Miller kill Mr. Rodriguez.
Just a minute. Now, the jury has handed down a decision. It stands.
What kind of a decision? What proof do you need?
Now, that is enough.
Oh, no, it's not enough.
Quiet, please.
Did you hear me? Stop it.
Young man, that is going to cost you 30 days in jail.
Oh, really? I could probably get that sentence cut considerably, Judge, if I could afford Mr. Reed for an attorney.
I said be quiet. Your Honor, my son has been under great strain for the past couple of weeks. I beg the court's indulgence.
All right, Mr. Cartwright. Well, let me tell you this. Let me tell all of you this. Duke Miller was tried in a proper court of law, and he was declared innocent. Now, if anyone decides to reverse that decision by putting a bullet into Duke Miller, the killer will be tried in my courtroom. And I promise you he will be hanged by the neck until dead. This court stands adjourned.
In my whole life,
What we saw Miller kill Paco's father right in front of our eyes. And just because that jury happened to be...
Roy, what are we going to do about it? Are we just going to stand around and do nothing while them murderers in there go free, are we?
You know what we ought to do? We ought to go in there, pull him out of jail, and hang him up ourselves.
That's the first sensible thing I've heard all day.
Now, wait a minute, boys. We come over here to Carson City to attend a trial. Now, that trial's over.
But just because a smart lawyer happened...
Now, look, he was tried according to law. The jury brought in a verdict of not guilty. Now, no matter how any of us feel, there's not going to be any hanging, legally or illegal.
Joseph, what happened in there is final. You heard what the judge said. There'll be no more trouble. So let's get on home.
How's Paco feeling?
I thought I could use a glass of milk.
I'll bring it up to him.
With the gun in your hand? I tried to talk to him. All he wants to do is kill Duke Miller personally.
Oh, don't you worry about him killing Duke Miller, Bob. Because I'm going to do it for him.
Evidently, all I've taught you means nothing. That boy upstairs needs help. He's being eaten away by hate. He won't listen to me. But he likes you, Joseph. So, you talk to him. He admires you. You advise him. Tell him that the sacred book lies. Tell him that vengeance belongs to Joe Cartwright and Paco Rodriguez. Tell him that the courts are to be obeyed only when they decide in our favor. Tell him there's no such thing as human dignity or decency. You tell him that men have the God-given right to turn themselves into jungle animals. Go ahead. Tell him that. Isn't that what you believe?
I brought you a little milk.
I don't want any.
Come on, do you some good. Take a little bit anyway. Do you mind if we do a little talking?
I don't mind.
Well, family and I have been talking downstairs, and I think it might be a good idea if you went to your grandparents right away.
My grandparents will not see Paco until my father's death has been avenged. You're gonna kill the man who took my father's life, and I'm gonna help you. You meant it, didn't you?
Yes, I meant it when I said it, Paco. Let me try to explain something to you. When a fella grows up like I have, he sometimes says things when he's angry. He forgets some of the truths that he learned when he was a boy.
What truth?
Well, where does a man go when he dies, Paco? A good man.
To heaven?
And where does a bad man go when he dies?
To hell.
Yes, that's where he goes. Because nobody goes unpunished, Paco.
The man who killed my father, he must be punished now.
The court said he's innocent, even though we know he's guilty. Now, that's because the courts are not perfect, Paco. God is?
Yes, but...
You believe in God, don't you?
Yes.
All right, then you must believe that God will punish Duke Miller. Look, I know it's hard. It's hard for you and it's hard for me. But, son, if you believe in God, then you must believe that.
You want me to go to my grandparents in Juarez and leave vengeance to God?
Yes, that's what I want.
I don't want to, but if you go with me, little Joe, I'm ready.
Well, look, I got a lot of things to do around here. Maybe Horse or Adam could take you.
What things? If you believe that we must leave vengeance to God, what things have you got to do?
Nothing. Take you to Mexico. Get some sleep. We'll leave tomorrow.
Well, it just about makes a load, don't it?
Hey, Horse, finish tying this stuff on for me, right? Yeah, Pop.
Just want you to know that I appreciate you volunteering to take Parker to strength camps.
Well, I didn't exactly volunteer to take him, but
Well, but I do want your word that you're going straight to Juarez. Nowhere else.
I couldn't very well go chasing after Miller in a wagon load of supplies.
No. But I also want your word that you're not going to go after Miller afterwards either. And if you happen to bump into him, no guns.
All right, you have my word.
You really mean that?
He asked me to talk to Paco last night, talk things out with him.
Mm-hmm.
What you were really asking me to do was talk things out with myself, wasn't it? I guess I better get Paco and tell him time to go. Yeah.
I'm ready, Joe. Adios, padre. Adios, Senor Cartwright.
Bye, Paco. Oh, Paco. This letter's for your grandfather. Maybe Maybe someday we'll come down to Mexico and visit it, huh?
You tell your grandpa we'll write him about the ranch, huh?
Thank you, Senor Sheriff.
Joe, you take care of things. And of Paco.
Don't worry, I'll take care of it.
What are we trying to prove? Oh, it's a nice town. Who knows? We might see that Cartwright kid again.
Ain't worth it, Duke. We ain't forgot how you killed that Mexican. You're pressing your luck.
Hey, fellas! Why don't you go in and say hello to the sheriff? I'd like to have this table. Do you mind?
Well, there's plenty of tables, can't you see?
Yeah, I know, but I'd like to have this one.
Look, I said there's
Hello, Sam. Sam! You remember me, don't you?
You got a lot of gall showing your face in this town.
Sam, let bygones be bygones. To show you I ain't mad at you, trying to get me hung. I'm gonna pay for your dinner, how's that?
I ain't gonna eat with the likes of you. And I ain't sitting with the likes of you.
Sit down, old man.
Please. How's your friend Cartwright? Still pushy as ever?
You'd find out soon enough if he knew you was in town.
Well, that's exactly what I want him to know. You know where to find him?
I know where to find him.
Will you tell him I'm here?
Yes. I'll tell him you're here. And I'll tell the sheriff, too, you skunks are back in town.
This place is too fancy for me. Go next door and have a drink.
Oh, look who's here. Hello, can I talk to you now?
Just let me alone, will you?
What's the matter with you? Why are you being so standoffish? I'm not such a bad guy.
You look kind of shaggy, Duke. Maybe better clean up and give it another try, huh?
Maybe you're right. Come on.
Where you going? Lover boy wants a haircut. What else?
Now that's what Sam told me.
Father?
I wouldn't believe it. I'll be right with
Need a haircut.
We're closed up.
I said I need a haircut.
I told you we're closed up.
You're open now. What's the matter, Barber? Ain't you glad to see me?
Come on, he's not gonna. Come on.
Want the same kind of haircut you gave me the last time.
Sure, Mr. Miller.
You know, the last time I was here, I left in such a hurry, I forgot to pay you. So this time, I'm going to pay you double. How's that?
Fine, Mr. Miller. That's.
Duke Miller's back in town, and them two fellers is with him. They're over in the barber shop. I couldn't find the sheriff. Let's go get him. I'll take this rifle.
Leave it alone, Sam. We don't want anything to do with him.
What in tarnation's wrong with you? You said after trial you was going to get him.
Yeah, well, I changed my mind.
Little Joe, ain't you gonna do anything about it?
Remember the talk we had last night, Paco? You remember what we talked about? Well, I meant what I said. Paco, I believe what I said. I'm gonna go in the bank and cash that draft. I want you to sit here in the wagon and wait for me, just like I told you.
I never thought I'd live to see the day when a Cartwright would turn coward.
Little Joe's no coward. He said God will punish this man.
In due time, Paco, in due time. But I still say little Joe's a coward. And so would your father if he hadn't been killed by them three skunks down there in that barber shop.
Hello, Cartwright.
Paco, you all right?
Yeah, I had to come. My father wasn't a coward. I can't be either.
I understand. All right, Duke, nobody's hurt. Let the kid go.
Get out, kid. Not you, Cartwright. You stay.
Going back to the wagon.
What are you gonna do?
Just go on back to the wagon.
Put your guns away, fellas. I want this nice and legal. I want him bruised up so he'll never forget us.
All right, let him go.
Just let him go. Hey, Barber. Come on over here.
Me out of this chair.
Oh, Frank, you did a beautiful job.
Yeah, I figure that's one of the best jobs I've ever done.
Let me out of this chair!
We're gonna let you out of the chair. I don't want you to go out without your tie. We'd like you to see the job we did. No hat, Duke.
I want my hat.
No, you're gonna see the whole town, Duke.
Don't let
Not with
anybody
a
see
hat.
me like this. Don't let anybody see me like this, please. Please don't let anybody see me like this.
Duke.
Everybody's gonna see you.
No.
Go on, let them see you, Duke. Go ahead, let them see you.
That's it, you cry. You get it all out, Buck. You've done all you can do. Go on, go home. Go home.